Ever get into those arguments, where it seems like you're disagreeing about something small? Like, what's the best brand of coffee or something?
Yeah, totally.
But it really feels like there's something else going on underneath.
Oh, yeah, like a hidden layer of, like, values or something.
Exactly. And that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're tackling this centuries-old theological debate that might seem kind of minor on the surface. It's
Yeah.
just some disagreement about the Holy Spirit. But trust me,
I'm listening.
there's some serious power dynamics, like historical tensions simmering just below the surface.
And it really impacted the relationship between the Eastern and Western churches for centuries.
It did. And we're going right to the source for this one. 4 books against the objections of the Greeks.
Okay, and who wrote that?
That was Ratramnus, 9th century monk, and he jumps right into this whole theological tug of war.
Bold move for a monk.
Right.
Especially back then. I mean, 867 AD.
Yeah, tensions were high.
High. The Eastern and Western churches?
Yeah, and it's not just theology, is it?
No, not at all. It's about power. Right.
It is.
Who gets to decide what Christians believe?
Who has the authority?
Right, even down to something like the nature of the Holy Spirit.
And that's where this idea of procession comes in.
Yeah, procession, that's a big one.
Caused quite a stir back then.
Because it gets at the origin of the Holy Spirit.
Where does it come from?
Yeah, exactly. Just God the Father.
Sure.
Or from both the Father and the Son.
And that becomes a huge sticking point between East and West.
Huge.
And Ratramnus, well, he doesn't beat around the bush.
No, he does not.
He goes right for the emperors who, at that time, are really trying to exert their influence on the church.
Which is a big deal, right? We often think of emperors as political.
Right.
But in this era, they had serious religious clout.
Oh, they did. And Ratramnus basically says, hold up, emperors, you're out of line.
Really? He just says it.
He does. Well, he's a little more eloquent than that.
Yeah.
He hits them with these rhetorical questions in the first chapter, basically daring them to answer.
What does he say?
All right, so he writes, if they wish to establish anything regarding their faith, it would have been appropriate to call a council of bishops, seek the statutes of the fathers, and consult the Holy Scriptures.
Oh, I see. He's all about process.
He is. But they didn't do any of that, did they?
Sounds like a bit of a power grab.
Totally. And he goes on. What right do they have to judge or discuss matters of faith, custom, or doctrine in people or churches not under their jurisdiction?
Okay, so he's not just questioning their methods.
No.
He's going after the legitimacy of their whole position.
Ratramnus is not afraid of a fight. He is basically saying, this is not your domain, emperors. So we've got these emperors, right, trying to throw their weight around, and Ratramnus is basically like, hold on. He wants to take us back to the Council of Nicaea.
Smart move. Bringing it back to basics.
Right, because this was a big deal.
Huge. 325 AD. Right?
Yeah, that's the one. Over 300 bishops, all trying to figure out, like, the core beliefs of Christianity.
Which, yeah, that's where we get the Nicene Creed.
Exactly. And that creed, it's still around today. Like, that's how important this council was.
Foundation of Christian Orthodoxy.
And Ratramnus points out, the original creed, it says the Holy Spirit's divine, obviously.
Right.
But it doesn't get into this whole procession thing.
Doesn't say if the Spirit comes from the Father, the Son, both.
It doesn't. Which maybe they left it open on purpose. Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows what they were thinking back then.
But it definitely comes back to bite them, because now it's a huge debate.
Oh, yeah. Fast forward 50 years, you've got the Council of Constantinople.
Another council.
Another one. And they decide to add a line to the creed about the Holy Spirit proceeding from the Father.
Just like that.
Well, not just like that. There were probably some heated debates.
Oh, I bet.
But yeah, they added it in, and it was like lighting a match near a powder keg.
Because
remember, it's not just about theology, is it?
Nope.
Rome, Constantinople, they're always kind of circling each other, right?
Always a power struggle.
So anytime one side makes a move, the other side gets suspicious.
Makes sense.
And Ratramnus, he's obviously Team Rome, right?
Big time.
So he sees this later addition to the creed, and he's like, see? Even you guys can't get your story straight.
He uses their own history against them.
Exactly. He's like, you can't just declare this later addition as the final word on the Holy Spirit.
So what you're saying is Ratramnus is basically pulling back the curtain on the whole thing.
I am. He's saying, look, folks, this is how theology works. It's messy. It's all about interpretations and power plays and, yeah, sometimes even rewriting history a little.
And he's not just trying to be a pain.
No. He's living in this world, right? This rivalry between Rome and Constantinople. It's not some abstract thing to him. It's his life. It's shaping everything. But Ratramnus, he's got more tricks up his sleeve.
Oh, I bet he does.
He's about to bring out the big guns. And by big guns, I mean some seriously heavyweight theologians.
All right, so he's called out the emperors, right?
Mm.
Trace the whole thing back to the Nicene Creed.
Yep.
And now he's like, you want to talk authority? I'll show you authority.
He's bringing in the big guns.
He is. Like, it's almost like he's assembling this dream team.
Of early church fathers.
The best of the best to back him up. Because these guys are all about the Holy Spirit proceeding from both the Father and the Son.
Okay, but he's not just name-dropping, is he?
No way. Ratramnus, he goes deep into their writings, like chapter and verse.
Pulling out quotes.
Oh, yeah, showing exactly how their words support his argument.
Because anyone can say, like, oh, yeah, so-and-so agrees with me.
Right, but he's like, here's the proof.
I like it. So who's on this dream team? Who does he call up first?
Well, he starts with Athanasius. Huge name.
Oh, yeah, 4th century, right?
No.
Battling it out with the Arians.
That's the one. And Ratramnus finds this quote where Athanasius says flat out that the Holy Spirit proceeds from both the Father and the Son, no question.
Which for the Eastern Church, that's a problem.
Huge problem, because it means the Holy Spirit isn't like less than the Father.
Right, they're equal.
Exactly. And Ratramnus uses that. He's like, boom, Athanasius agrees with me.
Okay, so that's 1 point for Ratramnus.
Right, but he doesn't stop there.
Oh, no, he's on a roll now.
He brings in Gregory of Nazianzus, another giant in early Christianity.
What does Gregory have to say?
Well, he gets even more specific about the Holy Spirit. He's like, this isn't some afterthought.
Right, not something the Father, like, whipped up later.
Exactly. Gregory says the Holy Spirit is co-eternal with the Father and the Son.
So they've always existed together.
Always. Which, again, kind of throws a wrench in the Eastern Church's view of the Trinity, right?
Yeah, they don't like that too much.
Not one bit. And Ratramnus knows it. He's building this case point by point, using their own guys against them.
Pretty crafty.
He's good. But wait, there's more. Ambrose.
Ambrose, Bishop of Milan.
The one and only.
What does he bring to the table?
Well, he's a bit more philosophical about it. You know, he's like, you can't talk about the Father without the Son and the Holy Spirit.
They're a package deal.
Exactly. Like trying to separate light from the sun.
Doesn't work.
Nope. And that's Ambrose's point. They are inseparable, all three of them.
So we've got Athanasius, Gregory, Ambrose, all these heavy hitters supporting Ratramnus' view.
And here's the kicker. He points out that none of these guys were condemned by the Greek emperors of their time.
Ooh, that's cold.
Ice cold. He's like, if they were good enough for your predecessors, what makes you think you know better?
So he's really backed them into a corner.
Totally. They can side with these giants of the faith, or they can double down and risk looking like they're going rogue.
Wow, talk about a power move.
Right. Ratramnus is not messing around, and it all comes back to this. Who gets to decide? The emperors.
Or the weight of tradition, the church fathers, centuries of history.
Exactly. And that's what makes this whole debate so fascinating, right?
Absolutely. It shows how these theological arguments, they're never just about, like, abstract ideas.
There's always something more going on.
Power dynamics, politics, who has the authority.
It's all connected. We've seen it with the Nicene Creed. We see it with Ratramnus.
And you know what? We still see it today.
Oh, absolutely. So next time you get into one of those arguments, you know, where it feels like there's something more going on beneath the surface.
Like that coffee debate we were talking about.
Exactly. Think about Ratramnus and the Holy Spirit.
Because it might not be about the coffee at all.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everybody. It's been a wild ride.